Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause the times is demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome back. Welcome back to First Contact Radio. How you doing today? How are you? Got a lot to talk about. First thing we're going to start off with always is the cosmic weather. Okay, today is the 14th of October, October 14th. We see that we have a moon sign in Scorpio. We made that transition there yesterday. So that's where we're going to be today and tomorrow. So let's take a look at what that is. I know you know what it is. Scorpio, death, emotions, water. Okay, Scorpio is a water sign. So what we're dealing with Scorpio is water, the feelings, the emotions. So this is a time, a touchy-feely time. Maybe not touchy, but certainly a feely time over the course when Scorpio is engaged in life. We have the Scorpio season coming up very soon, the moon, sun sign. Right now it's just a moon sign, little glimpse of what's going on. Now, underneath in the subconscious, we're going to be dealing with emotions. Remember, this is not about a physical death. It's about an emotional death because it's dealing with the sign and the element of water. Okay? Water is the emotions. Our emotions become affected, and therefore it affects what's going on in our world. Remember, fire, water, air, earth. These are the elements we're talking about. Spirit pours itself through everything, manifests into reality, fire, water, air, and earth. And those are the things that affect us. The earth is affected by the fire, water, air. Fire is ideas, water is emotions. Here we have emotions taking place on the subconscious level. So the emotions on the subconscious level have the strength to be able to make and affect a change that feels like a death, when in actuality it's a transition from one form to the other. Number on this card is 13. 13 actually means unity and love. It's not about anything bad whatsoever. And as far as the cards and what these are, I like to use these because all they are is pictures. They're symbols. You don't give your power up to these things. That would be absolutely silly and ludicrous. And anybody who does give their powers up to them, stop. Stop, because there's nothing to give your power up to. It's simply a symbol. You look at it to see what the ideas mean. Period. It's part of the system of Kabbalah, not the Jewish mysticism. That's what they term it as. But Kabbalah as the science of the many universes. So we're looking at a situation here mentally, or the conscious mind, which is dealing with air. Words and actions. The words and actions that create balance in our life. Okay, we use the words in action. We have to take action, which is where the red is. But the head, you could see up here in the yellow, is the color of action, the mind. So you got the mind and you have action working together. In between you have the green, which is produced when the mind works together with the action that is available to us. So we have an air sign which is moving through. We know air moves, so we know that the conscious mind is going to be moving. We've had a lot of movement taking place since we've entered the sign of Libra. Will continue to be. Now the unconscious mind wants to deal with emotions. Okay? Let's look at some of the other aspects here. The aspects started coming in at 2:13 a.m. First we had Venus, which is imagination. was in a sextile, nice, good, positive mix of energy between Scorpio and Venus. So our emotions and our imagination working together probably affected our dream state, unless you were in part of the world where you weren't sleeping, where you're up and about. We just passed at 7:25 a.m. a trine between Neptune, which tells us we need to take a new perspective on things, a new perspective on what's going on in the world, in our life, in everything that we experience. And by doing so, it allows us the opportunity to see things differently. One thing I like is the symbols, these cards, these pictures give us ideas. This is the card that would represent Neptune. What do you have? A person hanging upside down. Okay? Person's not dead. They've got a yellow around their head, color of the mind, enlightenment, which is taking place there because they changed their perspective. They flipped upside down to look at things differently. So that's what Neptune is. So when we look at Neptune here, it says we need to look at things from a new perspective. That's what our challenge is. And the challenge is in the world of our emotions. We can't allow our emotions to get the best of us. Therefore, we need to look at how we can process those in a way that is useful. We've got all day long to figure that out and process that till 5:22 p.m. when Mars is going to add some extra energy into the mix, followed by Pluto jumping in later to bring some additional deep transformation, and then finally Jupiter expands everything outward. So we've got a day where our emotions are really going to be pushed, okay? Our emotions are really going to be tested. They're going to be energized. They're going to be expanded. So we're going to really have to take care of ourselves in our emotional world today, so that we don't feel the full effect of what this death process is in a way that is going to be adverse or negative, that we could allow it to happen because it needs to happen. We need to process these emotions and feelings to get to the next place of understanding. Right? The moon phase is a crescent moon, waxing crescent moon, 2% of the way full. Waxing means it's going up from the new moon to the full moon. All right, here we have our grid for anyone who wants to look at that there. Today is the beginning of a new day on the Jewish calendar, the month of Cheshvan. Okay, right here. And let's look at our daily thought for today. On the day of Cheshvan 1. Says, showing miracles. As the days when you left Egypt, I will show them wonders. There's a prophecy not about miracles that the Creator will perform, but about those that He will show. He will only need to show them because they have already been performed. He performs them countless times every day within the minute details of our lives. They are the greatest miracles, so great they escape our perception, for our minds are incapable of perceiving a boundless God within the nearly bounded order of a physical world, until the physical will have been transformed through our labor, transformed and made transparent, so that the most ultimate of wonders will shine through. Our world will be a lens to perceive the infinite. Iron Oracle, it's a 12-tone day. It's called the crystal tone of cooperation. It's up in this position here. The crystal tone is just before we're getting to jump off. Next day, tomorrow, is the day where we jump off this wave spell and we go to the next one. So here we kind of collect our ideas, figure out where we've been, what we've been doing along this journey of subconsciousness, looking at the unconscious within us. So we have into the mix the Scorpio, the emotions at this point in time, and we have the lesson of timelessness is the kin for today. The wizard, the white wizard. Wizard teaches timelessness. White is about refinement. So the refinement of our understanding of timelessness. And our guide for today is the World Bridger, which is similar to Scorpio, teaching the lesson of life and death and the bridge between the two. So we have the crystal wizard guided by the World Bridger. The phrase for today is, I dedicate in order to enchant, universalizing receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the crystal tone of cooperation. I'm guided by the power of death. Our like-minded energy is our survival instinct, the energies, life force energy, and flowering or seeding. That's our challenge for today. Solar wind is 494.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is at storming right now at a 5. So we're past the halfway point on the scale. One large coronal hole, probably feeling effect from there, even though it doesn't say so, because it is facing us. M-class flare possibility sits at 30%. X-class at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitudes 40%. Upper latitude 65. Holding steady. And up in the sky, the 14th, it says Vega is the brightest star. High in the west at nightfall. Arcturus equally bright, getting low in the west-northwest. The brightest star in the vast expanse between them, about a third of the way from Arcturus back up towards Vega, is Alphecca, magnitude 2.2, the crown jewel of the corona borealis. Alphecca is a 70-day eclipsing binary, but its brightness clips are too slight for the eye to see reliably. All right, there you go. That's it. That is our cosmic weather for today. And you know where that brings us? Up to UFO news. So, Dirk, give us the introduction, please.
It's time for the UFO news with Joshua Poet.
All right, that is Dirk Bradshaw. All right, we've got a lot of good reports from Dirk. We're going to have those coming up over the weeks as time progresses. All right, first sighting here is a black UFO releasing a smaller craft over Atlanta, Georgia, or so it appears, according to the person who posted this. An aircraft releases a smaller object and disappears into thin air. The strange sighting took place September 13th, 2015 in Atlanta, Georgia. The aerial activities video has attracted more than 170,000 views. Just like any other claimed UFO videos, there are some debunkers saying it's fabricated, but the debunkers are to be expected after release of this kind of video. The video is heavily edited to cut down to the extended periods of still frames. The video footage was then inserted into the still frames. Okay, so this is what's being shown out there, and again, the question we need to ask ourselves, is this real? Is this fake? So let's take a good look at this and see what this is and see if we can notice anything that might give us clues to what this is and if this is real. We might not know exactly what it is, but we might be able to get some clues on what this object is. Indeed, this bizarre aerial activity was uploaded with pictures and a video. All right, there's our object in question. Now, it does seem to have the shape in some degree of the UFOs we have seen. It also looks like a sombrero that somebody might have thrown into the air. But it could be a UFO, unidentified explained object. It says along the way we should be seeing something dropping from it. Now, I have to say, I really haven't seen something like this before, so this is quite an interesting anomaly, whatever it is. On one hand, it sort of looks like a feather, doesn't it? Like here's an end, and well, we got another end here, so this is the most bizarre looking one I've seen. I don't think I've seen anything like this. Have you? Huh. Alright, the video link's available so you can check it out. See what you think of this. If you think this is real, or if you think that this is perhaps just someone hoaxing something. Never can tell, but we always have to pay attention. Alright, Shag Harbour mystery, 48 years on. The UFO Museum in Shag Harbour is no exception. A kindly woman named Dorothy Nickerson was there when I arrived Wednesday, a few weeks after the museum closed for the year. Outside, the wind howled, but it was quiet in the museum, which possessed a kind of stillness that can give you the feeling someone has just left. I arrived, as is obvious, in a Fox Mulder frame of mind because 48 years is long enough to wait to see if the truth is actually out there where the land ends in the southwest corner of Providence. Nickerson was a young mother of 4 back in October 1967, so it was the next day before she learned the village was abuzz with something strange that had been glimpsed flying over the nearby waters. It's all there in the clippings and the photos of the walls and the converted store on Shag Harbour. How a range of witnesses saw an object with orange flashing lights from the northwest. How the identified object was said to emit a loud noise, in some cases described as a whistle, in others a whoosh as it flew over them, and how, picking up speed, the object hit the water with a loud noise and then seemed to glide along, either on or in the water, before disappearing. All it left behind, according to the Chronicle Herald, story heralded, could be something concrete in Shag Harbour. Okay, we got a long story here. I'm certain you've heard this story plenty of times. There's a nice good video to go along with it. Check it out. See what you think. Alright, here's a sighting takes us back last month into September. New interesting video footage recorded in Rome of a UFO near the moon. I photographed the moon, and then after a few minutes when I went to review the pictures, there was something to the right of the moon. The quality is not excellent, but my curiosity much. I will surely have the software to increase the image quality. The photo was taken Monday, September 21st. Okay, and so let's scroll down here. The image, can't really see it good, but just to the right, it's a little shadow. When you enlarge the screen, you can certainly see it much better. Decide for yourself if this is real or what, but it is like a thin little cigar-shaped thing just to the right there. And the last one here, alien mind control during abductions. Alien mind control during abductions. This is by Paul Schroeder. The author's note, I am he, and this recollection is genuine. However, I chose the pronoun he to make it vividly recall the abduction more easily acceptable to the uninitiated reader. He is flying high over a lush green tree landscape, over rolling trees-lined hills, and though he knows that it must be at night within the tractor beam under a moving craft, the fields and the countryside below are lit up as though it were day, but he knows it's night because he is told that he is dreaming. For a few brief seconds, until he is drawn into the craft, he sees the green, granular nature of the trees below and feels the visual exhilaration of flying, but rather than fear, he is filled with a combined sense of peace and joyous happiness. He marvels at the texture and the color of the neighborhood and the movement about it. He is dreaming, but he is awake. The smaller craft lands near the much larger ship, hiding in plain sight in the field. He is told by a small, dark, gray alien, always just out of sight, that he is to wait in line for a tour of the country estate. He is numb and surely vividly dreaming, but he feels he is awake. He moves towards the people in front of him, and in back of him a narrow path surrounded a false screen memory on the flat, undimensional static scene, a photograph of the English garden. It is not humid, with the rank smell of soil. People clutch what looks like brochures and move slowly in a single line, approach the country estate, bored and mildly interested. He approaches the door of the large alien craft. A ticket taker sits at the entranceway in a stool behind a lectern, observing and entering a crowd, a doorway official seen as a slim teenager. He thinks it's odd that such a young caretaker should seemingly be in charge, and as he lifts his eyes to meet the teen's gaze, the young boy turns into a kindly old man. It's mind control, not shape-shifting, he is told by a sonorous tour guide's voice in an answer in his unasked thought. Everyone is awake and is also dreaming. Inside of the waiting moon room, dirty, dull, and round, a white room with no adornments and a black floor. He awakens dreaming to feel that the room is in flight. It is a dream within a dream. Awake again briefly as he is dreaming while standing upright, walking in his sleep, climbing a steep metal stairway, ladder, path bridge that leads to a very large room at the top of the stairs. Someone in front of him dreams and wakes his dreaming. He looks to his right. As he climbs, he sees an enormous dome curved window which makes up the staircase as a whole upper wall of the alien craft. And as he climbs, feeling very numb, he pauses, stops the line of mass abducted people. He looks out of the window, sees the Earth and the Moon opposite each other, hanging in the blackness of space. He places his arms on the curved railing where the staircase meets the bottom of the wall, cups his chin on his hands to understand the raw beauty of what he sees. Okay, there's more to the article, but it gets into, says sleeping line of climbing people is now fully stopped by the fawning and replaced examinations of a simple metal staircase. Okay, so this is the end postscript. Rather than fear-based approach to dark force entity safely and caution, I prescribe a required spiritual shift towards the equally unseen goodness of the spirit world and away from fear. Unlearning fear is a step-by-step acceptance and assertion of one's spiritual self, a distance far and away from fearful dimensions ministered by one's material physical self. All right. Long article. You can read through there, but I myself have had some personal experience with this. Let me share this with you. You see, just like the person who wrote the article here, I did have an encounter, well, in a dream state with a couple of greys. They were large. They were very large, about 5'10", almost 6 feet tall. They were about as tall as I am. And I was standing face to face with one, looking at this being. It was looking at me, gray colored, big eyes. Looks kind of like, sort of like, kind of like this right here. This one right behind me there. Okay? So I'm standing there face to face with this thing. And what I feel coming from its eyes is some way in which it is trying to project some sort of fear on me. But instead of feeling afraid, I looked at it and I just sent it love. I just thought about the word love and I sent love to it. And I'll always remember, because the creature kind of stepped back and tilted his head, and telepathically it told the others behind it, this one isn't afraid, we can't do anything. And then they all left. And that was the end of that experience. Extremely vivid. Extremely real. I've had other experiences similar to that, but where I've had communication with the Greys. And I've certainly learned that we need to not be afraid, because fear is what is used against us. They're not projecting fear onto you, they're projecting your own fear onto you. So if you're not projecting fear, they don't have anything to project onto you. If you're projecting love, then love is what's going to be reflected back to you. Another way is if you're ever in an experience. I had another experience where there was a number of Greys around, and then something just felt really uncomfortable. And from that state where I was, I just simply invoked the name Jesus Christ. And instantly, everything changed. And all of the entities around disappeared, and there was peace brought to the situation. So I've come to understand that by interjecting love into the situation, and certainly invoking the name of Jesus Christ, Yeshua, this is another thing that is very much a protection. So those are my personal experiences, two of my personal experiences I've had. There's others, maybe I'll talk about them on another occasion. But we don't want to be afraid. We want to understand that, look, we live down here on the earth, and we know that on earth that there are those who use fear against the people. So if people down here on planet Earth are able to use fear and understand how to use fear, don't you think an alien society who's much more evolved might understand that process? And if they're strong enough in the mind to be able to use their mind to activate or control how they use that, it can be certainly much more effective on their end. So we really need to pay attention, and again, not be afraid. That's what it all comes down to. Do not be afraid. Easier said than done, but just practice. Have faith. All will be well. All right, that's it. That's our UFO news. I'll be back. I've got some stories. Hope you're ready.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear.
All right, I want to continue on because I've got a bunch. Okay, I'm going to, well, the first thing up here is this is how America is viewed and what's going on outside, just so we don't think that nobody is paying attention. They are. Here's an article at InfoWars, UE Diplomat, European Union. My government believes Obama is quite mentally unwell. A former NSA intelligence analyst has claimed that a senior European diplomat told him that the entire government of European country considers President Obama to be literally mentally unwell. John Schindler, security expert and whistleblower, who now writes for the Daily Beast, has claimed that a senior UE official from the undisclosed country has also inquired about impeachment proceedings, saying that the nation believes Obama is not fit for office. The wording indicates the opinion is not... Okay. So, I'm going to leave it for you to read the rest of the article. But for those of you who are paying attention here in America and seeing this, there you go. You know, while I'm on it, I just want to throw out there, last night was the Democrat debate. Did anybody get a chance to watch it? I watched for a short while, and then I just couldn't stand watching anymore. I have never seen a group of people who are so out of touch with reality of what's going on in the world. And to see how there are so many Americans who are willing to jump into socialism and communism, how far we have fallen as a nation that this is where we're at. It was really, really, wow. If you're an American and you really, really love this country, it's time to take action because, wow. You know, we didn't learn our lesson apparently from Hitler. We didn't learn our lesson from all of these other socialist and Marxist and communist countries. Now we want to jump into that, or a portion of us do. Wow. That's all I could say. Wow. All right. Story about bunker living. Just thought you'd want to see this luxury doomsday bunker that will allow 34 super families to survive the apocalypse. Super families. Okay. When the end of the world comes, even wealthy people will not be spared, unless, of course, they manage to buy themselves a spot in a massive underground apocalypse bunker. And you can see some of the bunkers here. You can go down and yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go through and show you all of them. I'm going to let you do that on your own. I just wanted to point that out to you so you could see exactly what that is. You know, there's something I recall that's one of the passages in the Bible which says that something to the effect of they will run to their underground and they will become their tombs. So just because someone scurries away to try to hide from something doesn't mean they're going to be safe. So quite possibly things might not work out so well for those. All right. I'm going to show you a story here, and this story here it's a bit mind-boggling. Remember the Black Lives Matter movement? Of course you do. You hear about it, what's going on. Well, Yale University says a prominent Black Lives activist named DeRay McKeeson A man who helped start the looting in both Ferguson and Baltimore has been rewarded for his criminal behavior by Yale University. Because that's what we should do. We should be rewarding criminal behavior, right? The prestigious Ivy League school, Yale, brought the criminal in to teach a 2-day course on, wait for it, the ethics of looting. In his class, the activist has students reading from an essay called In Defense of Looting, written at the height of the riots in Ferguson, Missouri. Part of that essay reads, the mystifying ideological claim that looting is violent and non-political is one that has been carefully produced by the ruling class because it's precisely the violent maintenance of property which is both the basis and end of their power, the article argued. On a less abstract level, there is practical and tactical benefit to looting. Whenever people worry about looting, there is an implicit sense that the looter must necessarily be acting selfishly, opportunistically, and in excess. This is what our college campuses have become, a training ground for extremists. Is it any wonder why these types of events are happening across the country? Completely ridiculous. You've got a group of individuals that are running this class and talking about the ethics of looting. What ethics? When you go and you loot a business that has nothing to do with your agenda, the people are involved, that's not anything other than your own simple ignorance. Now, this Black Lives Matter movement, let me talk about this for a minute. Do Black Lives matter? Not in the way that they're discussing. All lives matter. All lives matter. Because this Black Lives Matter movement is nothing more than a racist organization, and these people involved should be put in jail. Jail, jail. They are despicable human beings, and no, their black lives don't matter. And what they may find out with the Second Amendment that's out there in people's rights is that black lives splatter. And maybe we're going to see some of that, because if they keep pushing all their BS on the people, people are going to stand up against it. And it's really despicable to see how the white people and people out there, politicians, are caving to this. Black lives matter, black lives matter. You know what? All lives matter, folks. All lives matter. And when you start to single out a group and say that this group matters more, then we've got a problem. You see, it's not that the Black Lives Matter group wants to be equal. They want to be above equal. They want to dictate what's going on in their militaristic way. So Black Lives Matter needs to take their head and pull it out of their collective ass. Yale University needs to stop supporting this racist attitude and stops offering classes. And anybody that is supporting this, you know what? Why don't you go to the airport? Why don't you go someplace, buy a ticket to another country where you can go and take all of your family out there that believes in this and leave America? Because we don't need all of this nonsense and this BS. Because so much of it based on misinformation that people have. Okay, let me continue on. I'm going to show you a few things here. Because while we're on it, and someone may be upset with me today. You know what? I don't care. I don't care about being upset, and I don't care about political correctness. I care about this country, because what I saw last night was despicable. And if we were to go that way, we should be absolutely ashamed of ourselves, every single one of us as an American, for allowing that to happen. Now, short history of Democrats, Republicans, and racism. The following are a few basic historical facts that every American should know. But of course, here in America, we don't know such things because our schools don't want us to. In fact, the Republican Party was founded primarily to oppose slavery, and Republicans eventually abolished slavery. The Democratic Party fought them and tried to maintain and expand slavery. The 13th Amendment abolishing slavery passed in 1865 with 100% Republican support, but only 23% Democratic support. Why is this indisputable fact so rarely mentioned? Good question. Good question, okay? Now, here's the thing. 13th Amendment abolishes slavery, but you have a lot of these brain-dead individuals out there saying, get rid of the Constitution. So does that mean get rid of the 13th Amendment as well? So we want slavery back? But think about that slippery slope, all of you who are trying to go that way. In fact, during the Civil War, the radical Republicans were given that name because they wanted to not only end slavery, but also endow the freed slaves with full citizenship, equality, and rights. Fact, Lincoln's Vice President Andrew Johnson was a strongly pro-union but also pro-slavery Democrat who had been chosen by Lincoln as a compromise running mate to attract Democrats. After Lincoln was assassinated, Johnson thwarted Republican efforts in Congress to recognize the civil rights of the freed slaves, and Southern Democrats continued to thwart any efforts for close to a century. Fact, the 14th Amendment giving full citizenship to freed slaves passed in 1868 with 94% Republican support and 0% Democratic support in Congress. The 15th Amendment freed slaves gave them the right to vote, passed in 1870 with 100% Republican support and 10%. Fact, the Ku Klux Klan was originally and primarily an arm of the Southern Democratic Party. Their mission was to terrorize freed slaves in nigger-loving, their words, Republicans who sympathize with them. Look, man, read through this and know this. If you're a Democrat and supporting this, and if you're black, then you have not paid attention to history, because the very people that have enslaved your ancestors are the very ones that want to enslave you now. Now, here's something I'm going to say to all of your Black Lives Matter and all of you black individuals that are all hepped up on this subject. There's a thing called reincarnation. People come back in lifetimes. Those of you who are in this lifetime complaining about what your ancestors went through, yeah, it sucks what they went through. Shouldn't have happened. A bad thing. But you're not going through that. As a matter of fact, most of you, all of you, weren't even alive during that period of time. So you don't even know what you're talking about in terms of how it's personally affecting you, because you've never been in cotton fields picking cotton, or have never been a slave in the way that we have seen from stories like Roots or anything else that gives us examples. Never been there. Chances are, during that lifetime, many of you blacks, you may have actually been the white slave owners back then. Choke on that for a while, will you? And many of the whites right now may have been the black slaves back then, because we go through periods of time when we reincarnate where we want to learn from our mistakes and move past them. So all of you high and mighty blacks out there that support all of this Black Lives Matter, you may have been one of the very white slave lords back in that day, and here you are again just wanting to promote your slave agenda because maybe you're just a dark spirit, a dark soul. And if so, I pray for you that that darkness comes out of you. But I'm not going to mince words about what's going on. And if people want to be stupid out there, then that's their own problem. Stupid is as stupid does. But I'm not going to turn a blind eye, and I'm not going to be politically correct in order to appease somebody. And I'm not going to pretend that someone like a Bernie Sanders who's putting a socialist agenda is right. Our country was not founded upon that. And if every American doesn't stand up right now against this, then we're in big, big trouble, folks. We're in huge trouble. So I'm going to bring forth here two other links that are very important. First one I'm going to show you. I hear a lot of nonsense, people talking, this is a democracy. This is a democracy. It's not a democracy. That's what they fooled you into believing. Let me show you what Ben Franklin, you know who he was? Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. I know if you're listening to this show, yes. But if you're new, or maybe if you're just tuning in for the first time just to see what's going on here, or maybe if you're just a person who's been in school learning the system the government wants and you're not really learning. But let me show you what one of our founding fathers said. Benjamin Franklin, the quotation, he was asked by a woman, well, doctor, what have we got, a republic or a monarchy? A republic, if you can keep it. The response is attributed to Benjamin Franklin at the close of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, when queried as he left Independence Hall on the final day of deliberation, in the notes of Dr. James McHenry, one of the Maryland's delegates at the convention. Okay? A republic, if we can keep it, therein lies the rub, if we can keep it. And you know what? Right now there's a fight going on. A fight to keep it. And who are we fighting with? We're fighting to keep it with supposed Americans who are betraying America. It's funny how you have a whole population that voted for Obama, and a good portion of those are members of the black community who voted for Obama simply because they looked at him and they saw that he's black, yet he's only half black. All of these blacks that voted for him blindly only because of the color of his skin forgot about Martin Luther King saying we shouldn't judge a person by the color of the skin but the content of their character. Many have forgotten about that. So they're jumping into the party of slavery, and they're wanting to bring back segregation and all this other nonsense. Wrong, folks. Wrong. Wrong way to go. And if you don't see that, then we're going on completely different directions here, because I'm not going that way. I'm walking the way our founding fathers did, and I'm walking the path that God set before us. And all this BS about racism and groups being better than the other and this lives matter, we're missing the point big time. Big time. Okay? Here's a document that everybody should remember, the Declaration of Independence. You see, at one time, there were brave Americans who decided they were going to separate from a tyrannical government, a government that was as tyrannical as the government we have right now. But when we read through the Declaration of Independence of all of the points that they used to separate, we could very easily substitute in the name Barack Obama for King George, or we could have replaced that name with George Bush, Jr. or Sr., either one. We can go down and just plug in any of our presidents' names, and over the years it's gotten worse. Our founding fathers would have separated from this tyranny a long time ago, but the problem is we have too many wimps in America. Too many kids in schools are being dumbed down and wimped down with the gay agenda, the agenda to depopulate. Why depopulate? Two guys can't have a baby, can they? Biology doesn't allow that. Two women can't have a baby. So if you want to depopulate a planet, you know what you do? You convince the boys to be wimpy, and you convince them that they need to get with other guys so you can't have any more babies, any more children in the world. And you convince the women to do the same thing. It's a way of depopulation, but when people go that route, it's short-sighted and they're not paying attention to really what's going on. Better get with the program, folks. Better get with the program fast. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind require that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as they shall deem most likely to effect the safety, happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guard for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of the colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present presidents of the United States, Barack Obama, George Bush, on and on. The history of these tyrannical presidents represent injuries and usurpations, all having their direct object of the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To provide this, let the facts be submitted as a candid world. Okay? In the beginning, all men are created equal. There's nothing in there about Black Lives Matter. It's all lives matter. All are created equal. So if you feel unequal, it's because you've allowed yourself to be, because you've chosen to side with the people that are making you feel unequal, because you've chosen to side with the party that enslaves people, but you're not intelligent or informed enough to know that, so you go with them, and then you try to complain. But you're missing the point that the very people that are enslaving you are the very ones that you are going to, thinking that they're your friends. Stupid is as stupid does. Stupid is as stupid does. Here's another one you should know. The Constitution of the United States. We the people of the United States. Okay, that's not the government. That's the people. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And amongst this Constitution, we have the Bill of Rights, 10 rights which we Americans hold dearly, supposed to hold dearly. Freedom of speech, number one. And what is that? What protects that freedom of speech? Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. The right to bear arms isn't just to go out and just shoot other people randomly. It was because the Founding Fathers understood that there are such things as tyrannical governments. That's what they broke away from. So since they knew that there are governments can become tyrannical, they knew that the only protection was to have the guns, the Second Amendment. Every society, socialistic, communistic, Marxist society that wants to take over the people, what do they do first? They take away the guns. That way the people can't fight back. And then when the people feel all safe, warm and fuzzy because they don't have any guns and they're living in a peaceful world, the government comes in, swoops down, and puts the hammer on you, and you have no way to protect yourself. That's what they're doing. So if you want to be stupid and you want to believe otherwise, then you go be stupid and believe otherwise. Me, I'm going to look at history and I'm going to learn from history. I put a link to the 33 times that Americans have been fooled. I'm going to keep that link there because I want Americans to understand how we have been fooled over and over and over again. So if we choose to be fooled again, it's our choice. I know my choice. And I know a lot of you are going to also choose to go down the path of not being fooled. But we're all going to experience and know people that are going to want to be fooled. I guess all we can do is have compassion for them, that they are that clueless about what's going on. But the machine obviously is very strong, and the brainwashing is very strong. And when you have a population that is dumbed down, it's very easy to control their thinking, because all you have to do is put them in front of a box, turn it on, and have them watch what Fox or CNN or MSNBC tells them. And then people will run saying, look what's going on in the world. Look, they came right from the Pentagon and told them what was going on. And I believe that. We have to stop being stupid, folks. Stop being stupid. It's not getting us anywhere effective. It's taking us down. It's taking us down. We're circling the drain, my friends. Circling the drain. Now, the only ones who can fix this situation is us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And any aliens that are watching us, extraterrestrial beings, are wanting for us to stand up, hoping and praying that we stand up. Jesus comes back, Yeshua. Let's say, for example, Jesus comes back ready to continue on and is looking for his homies. All of his homies who are here, they're going to stand up. What's Jesus going to find when he gets here? Oh, people have stopped believing. Where's all my warriors that were going to be here? You've had the book for thousands of years. You should understand, but all these people are turning away from Jesus. So Jesus says, you know what? Screw it. Gets back on a ship and leaves. Would you come back to this planet if you were treated badly when you were here the first time? If you were tortured the way he was, and then you were looking down at a planet who is so easily giving up all of these ideals about love and God and Christ, would you be so willing? I would have to be quite an individual, which we know that Yeshua is. Arms wide open for everybody. Got to forgive everybody, but we have to understand that there are people that are brain dead in the world. Do not throw pearls before swine. Very important. Jesus was a rebel. Jesus wasn't political. There are those who say he was a liberal. Please, please. No liberalness. No conservativeness. Jesus was who Jesus was, teaching us a higher law that had nothing to do with man's law. But man, because he doesn't understand God, wants to always bring things down and say, oh, we're going to make these into man's ways. And so here we are living in 2015 where we're following man's ways and we're being discouraged from following the path of God. You decide for yourselves what you're going to do. I already know what path I'm walking. And I hope that there's a lot of people on that path. I'm pretty certain there are, but I also know that there's a lot that are walking away because their faith is not strong enough to move them forward. There's an article at In5D that says the door is about to open. Greg Prescott. Many people can sense something different in the air, but not quite put their finger on what it is. Many of us feel as though we are living in extraordinary times. We are unsure of what is about to unfold. What we can tell from past history is that when we feel like this, a door is about to open. Global consciousness dot. So how can this feeling be measured? Global consciousness, sometimes called field consciousness, is the notion that when groups of people focus their minds on the same thing, they influence the world at large. Roger Nelson heads the Global Consciousness Project, which is an organization that collects data from around the world in its effort to provide that global consciousness exists. Nelson published a study called Wishing for Good Weather, which appeared in the Journal for Scientific Exploration. The following is an excerpt from the abstract. Reunion and commencement activities at Princeton University involving thousands of alumni, graduates, family, and other are held outdoors, and is often remarked that they are almost always blessed with good weather. A comparison of the recorded rainfall in Princeton versus nearby communities shows that there is significantly less rain, less often in Princeton on those days with major outdoor activities. Nelson's research suggested that focused intention in Princeton kept the rain away. Many people are either going through the dark night of the soul or recently have been brought through it. The dark night is a purging process where everything that can possibly go wrong seemingly goes wrong. When you experience the dark night of the soul, you are the lowest point in your life, but everyone who has gone through this can attest to amazing a door is about to open. Okay, and last it says Victor Hugo once said, no army can stop an idea whose time has come. No army can stop what Pluto and Capricorn will bring us, which is, in the end, peace, prosperity, and abundance for everyone without tyranny and oppression. Whenever the cosmic wildcard arrives, it will also change humanity in a way that will make our current standard of living seem like the Stone Age. Something is happening right now to those who are attuned to the current energetic vibrations of the planet. When we officially make the shift is only a matter of time. Okay? So, a door is before us. As Jim Morrison said, you can only open the door, it can't drag people through. We need to decide what we're going to do when we see that door, when it opens before us. How will we be dealing with this? Or maybe we'll just ignore it altogether. We seem to be very good at ignoring things down here on Earth. So maybe that will also be the case then. All right, this is going to bring us to the Warrior of Light. Today we're on page 124. The passage reads, before making any important decision, declaring a war, moving with his companions in another plane, choosing a field in which to sow seed, the warrior asks himself, how will this affect the fifth generation of my descendants? A warrior knows that everything a person does has enduring consequences, and he needs to understand what kind of world he is leaving behind for that fifth generation. Okay? What kind of world are we leaving behind? That's the question. What kind of world are we leaving behind for the younger generation? Doesn't seem to be a very good world if we leave them in a world of socialistic dictators, communistic dictators and ideals. It seems like they're going to be screwed. They're not going to have the life the Americans had growing up that we all understand. They're going to have something way different that we've read about in the history books, and it's not going to be good. Do we want our ancestors or those who come after us to go through all of that? Then we need to think about others. We need to think about them. We need to put ourselves back on track and understand that all lives matter. Black, white, red, yellow, green, blue. male, female, all lives matter. All lives are equally as important. The ideals that people have during different situations is another thing. But lives themselves are precious. And we need to understand that. We need to stop killing each other. We need to stop raping each other. We need to stop doing all of these things. And we need to come together to understand that what we're doing now is going to cause an effect upon the younger generations that come after us. And if you want them to live in a world that is a good world, a bright world with a bright future, then we need to get on track and we need to get off this wrong path that we are on as a society. Because we're circling the drain, my friends. We're circling the drain. And we seem to be very content with it. In some cases, we seem to be rushing to get there as quick as we can. So let's deal with things, friends, in a way that is going to be more effective. And the only way we do that is we need to bring God back into the situation, because we've taken God out. We've allowed all of this to go on. That's why we have all of this nonsense of killing babies and killing people and killing this and killing that. Seems to me that one of the commandments is thou shalt not kill, but we kill, 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 kill. As if we don't care what the commandments say. We go against all of the commandments. If you were a parent and your child had a list of rules to obey and they disobeyed those rules, what would you do? How would you deal with your child? You certainly wouldn't come and smack your kid down and destroy your kid, because it's your kid. You would want your kid to learn, so you would find a way to teach your child. We need to learn, my friends. We need to teach each other, help each other to step upon this path of righteousness. This path of righteousness that is the only way that we're going to be able to succeed effectively in this world. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Take another deep breath. And exhale. Now just feel that energy flowing through your body. I want you to feel all of your cells invigorated at this moment right now from all of this energy coursing through you. I want you to feel this energy going through and connecting with that God aspect of yourself, the divine aspect of yourself. It exists everywhere. And if you don't see it in its totality, that is okay. Just see if you can see a drop of it, a piece of it. Because once we see a piece of it, we understand that we can correspond with all of it. So imagine seeing that seed of divinity within yourself, understanding and embracing that this is who we are, and then allow that seed to grow from a seed flowering into something very beautiful and wonderful within ourselves. And let's just imagine that we send this energy throughout the world to others so that they feel all of this love and positivity and spiritual connection that we are feeling. And let's just imagine as golden light moving across the earth to all of the corners of the earth, to each and every individual upon this earth. So as we go throughout this day, let us just keep sending out positivity. Let's keep sending out strength. That we have the strength and character and the fortitude to step beyond all of those things which are holding us back. To step beyond all of the fears which keep us from doing the right thing. The fears which keep us locked into places of slavery and tyranny. Let us see the chains breaking around each and every individual here on this soil in America, and here on every planet or every country across the earth. So let our subconscious mind continue sending out these positive vibes, these love-filled, faith imbued vibes. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. I thank you very much for being here. I know I went on a rant today, and I'm not concerned and worried about other people, what they think about that, because we've got to stand up. We've got to make a difference in this world, each and every one of us. And if we don't stand up against the tyranny, if we don't stand up against the racism, if we don't stand up against the lies and deceit, then we might as well just write ourselves off now. But if we truly believe that we are divine beings and that we are here with a divine purpose, and the divine purpose is to help spread peace, love, and unity across this planet in a way that provides freedom for all, not in man's ways, not in political ways, but in God's ways. Unless we get on this path, we're going to look back years from now and we're going to wonder how we got so far astray. I know we can do it. I know we can. And I hope that you have the same passion out there for what is these stories and events as I have. And I hope you go out fearlessly and don't worry about what others might say, because we need to be strong. All of us. All of us. Surely we all stand together or we all fall separately. That's the show for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Keep fighting the good fight, my friends. Keep having the faith. Keep believing in God. Trust God. Most important 2 words that you can have. Trust God. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving yourselves and each other. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.